Thank you.
B. Mahtab ji.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. I stand here to deliberate on this interim budget, which was placed before this House some days ago. I was asking my friend why this term of interim budget has been written in the speech of Honorable Finance Minister. It has a ring of paradox. By Indian protocol, this vote on account had to register moves as Lok Sabha polls are due in another 2 months' time, after which a new government will propose revenue and expenditure plans for 24-25. This is a moment extraordinary, backed by a rare momentum, both economic and political. Finance Minister's proposals reveal confidence. I would say this interim budget, presented ahead of the general election, bears the stamp of a government that seems confident of getting another term and is looking at the long-term picture. Priority has been given to fiscal consolidation and capital expenditure. Even populism has taken a back seat. We are aware that the interim budget is bound by spirit of the Model Code of Conduct of the Election Commission, which forbids any policy measure that could influence the election outcome. The letter of the law applies only after the election is notified, which cannot be earlier than 3 weeks prior to the first date of election. In an election year, this interim budget is in a welcome return to transparency and convention has stuck to the essentials. There are no grand giveaways, as has been mentioned about waiving out loan around 62,000 crores that happened in 2009. No conspicuous welfareism, no populist posturing through tax tweaks. This reveals the confidence with which the government views its prospects in the coming election. Finance Minister reiterates Prime Minister's focus on 4 major castes: Garib, Mahilaएं, Yuva and Annadata. Finance Minister says government has assisted 25 crore people to get freedom from multi-dimensional poverty. Niti Aayog discussion paper states 248 million people have been pulled out of multi-dimensional poverty between 2013-14 and 23-24. What is the real import of the multi-dimensional poverty numbers? Are they based on measuring consumption expenditure? Are they or not a person above the designated poverty line? Yes, we all know the government has scrapped the 2017-18 consumption expenditure survey. New set of numbers are yet to be released. CES or consumption expenditure survey-based poverty estimates have had their share of controversies about the propriety of poverty lines. And lack of recent consumption data does not make the multidimensional poverty estimates insignificant. Multidimensional poverty indicators measures tangible improvement in the living standards of people based on multiple socio-economic indicators. This has happened because of significant expansion of the welfare net in India in the last decade. Direct benefit transfer-based evolution of technological framework governing India's welfare architecture has given this result. Ensuring sustained income growth for all of them is a more difficult challenge. Providing material entitlements to millions of people is only one part. Sir, I would like to draw the attention of the government towards the vast tapestry of India's economic narrative. There exists a stark duality. Mr. Nishikant Dubey, while deliberating on this budget, had mentioned about East, West, North, South, and the poverty of Eastern India. But I would like to harp on the tale of two Indias. India versus Bharat, as it has already been stated. Urban prosperity dances to a different rhythm today in our country. The rural heartland struggles for survival. Economic disparity demands our attention and contemplation. For millions in rural India, an economic slowdown has become an oppressive reality, contrary to the nation's overall economic triumph. The crux of the issue lies in the fraying fabric of rural employment. Fewer jobs, intensified competition, and dwindling farm outputs erode the financial stability of those living in the agricultural hinterland. The narrative of rural India's struggle contrasts sharply with the urban success story. Sale of smartphones, SUVs underscores a thriving consumer market. Yet, this urban affluence appears as a mere echo in the vast rural landscapes where two-wheelers sales considered as a barometer of rural consumption. Therefore, I would say the time is ripe for introspection and action for the essence of inclusive growth India aspires to achieve. I would like to draw two other attentions of the government through you, sir. One is relating to railways, as budget also covers railway to a greater extent, and it is all merged in railways. I would say less than 50% of rail passengers have insurance cover. I'm not going into what lines have been declared and 3 lines and all that. Because Odisha witnessed a major railway accident some months ago, which forced the Prime Minister also to visit that place. Large number of people have died. 3 rail collided with each other. The deadly Odisha train tragedy that claimed 288 lives and left over 920 injured has brought to the fore a serious issue of train journey not being covered by insurance unless opted for on the online booking of tickets. Here I would say, sir, though Indian Railway is the 4th largest railway system in the world by size and carries over 800 crores people every year, experts wondered, it's a time to wonder why all passengers cannot be insured. If IRCTC can offer death coverage of 10 lakh rupees for train travelers, why cannot Indian Railways make the insurance coverage mandatory for all the passengers? They can seek a premium from the passengers like IRCTC does and insures the traveler as the corporation does through insurance companies. Railway officials have stated that insurance was inbuilt in all train tickets over a decade ago, before 2014. But it was stopped after insurance companies backed out, citing huge losses due to high incidence of train accidents in those years. Indian Railways, however, pays a compensation of rupees 8 lakhs as awarded by Railway Claims Tribunal for death of passengers and as decided on the basis of loss of earning capacity. This means all kin of 288 passengers, those who have died in Balasore district, and 920 injured can apply for claim and it will take some years more to get that claim. I would urge upon the government to consider this aspect and try to ensure all passengers, especially those passengers who are traveling in general coaches. Another point which I would like to mention here is relating to the subsidies, which I think some members also had mentioned today during deliberation. The central government provides various subsidies such as food subsidy, subsidized fertilizer, petroleum subsidy for LPG, and interest subsidies. And here I would just mention about fertilizer subsidy in a nutshell. Fertilizer subsidy is paid to manufacturers and importers who sell fertilizers to farmers at less than market prices. In the production of fertilizers, India is heavily dependent on imports for procuring raw materials. The 15th Finance Commission had noted that such dependence makes India vulnerable to international prices and makes fertilizer subsidies unsustainable. In the past, the central government has resorted to off-budget financing to defer payment of fertilizer subsidy. The Standing Committee of Parliament on Chemicals and Fertilizers in 2020 had observed that several fertilizer plants operate with very old technology. Thus, the government bears the cost of this inefficiency in terms of higher subsidy. It has recommended that farmers should receive fertilizer subsidy directly in their bank accounts, while manufacturers should be free to produce and sell fertilizers as per their own system. I think this is the best suggestion which the Standing Committee has given relating to subsidy component, and I believe the government should consider it as early as possible. Another issue which was mentioned by Supriya Suleji is relating to cess and surcharge. The Constitution, of course, allows, and this is my last point, sir, the central government to levy cesses and surcharges. However, they do not form a part of the divisible pool of taxes from which revenue is devolved to states as per Finance Commission recommendation. And what is the position today? Central government's gross tax revenue, that is GTR, is today around 14%. Between 17 and 18 and 24 and 25, the central government's revenue from cesses and surcharge increased at an annual rate of 15%. And it is increasing year after year, while the growth in the total gross tax revenue is lower at 10% of the year. And this shows that central government is garnering more money than the state, and that is bringing in large number of disparity between the distribution of finance from the central pool. And this is the reason why I would say that states that are poorer, I would support Nishikant Dubey's point of view, states that are poorer should get a larger share from the divisible pool, which Finance Commission is determining, but also should get a greater support from the central government, the money that the central government is acquiring through cess and surcharges. When you are having a welfareism in the country, I would just remind this House that in 1947 or even in 1952, when the first parliament was formed, when the budget was placed in this House, what was the budgetary provisioning? The budgetary provisioning was for post and telegraph, was for defense. That and education and other social ministries were not actually part. Health ministry came much later. Just to establish All India Institute of Medical Science in Delhi, health ministry, that time in the cabinet, a discussion was there, and one can go through the papers now because it is all available, that why do we need a health ministry in central government? It's a state issue. Why do we need an education ministry at the union level. It's a state issue. But because decision was taken that the central government also should involve itself for welfare of the people, that's how these ministries came into existence. And what is happening today after 75 years? It is welfare which is the main focus of the union government, and states are being deprived of the welfare, of the money that should be invested by the state. And I would conclude by saying it is an interim budget. Elections are due. And I would believe when the next government is formed in month of June or July, we will get a better understanding of the thinking of the then government. Thank you, sir.